Welcome to Sports Story 5. This is the second of two videos on concussion. In my first video I outlined the concussion protocol used in the Aviva premiership, and in this video I will look at whether the system is actually working in practice. To do this I will focus on the events surrounding the concussion of Northampton Saints player George North on the 3rd of December 2016. North was playing against Leicester Tigers and in the 11th minute of the match jumped to take a bouncing ball. As he did so, he fell over the shoulder of opposing player Adam Thompson, and when he landed, his head bounced on the ground and he lay seemingly motionless. North subsequently left the pitch for the head injury assessment protocol to be carried out, and when it was, he was allowed back onto the field. As a result of this incident, the RFU convened the Concussion Management Review Group to investigate what it called a suspected untoward incident. The review's determination on the 20th of December was that whilst the group acknowledged that the club, Northampton, accepted the player may have lost consciousness, they did not consider it needed to impose any sanction against the club or any individuals as a result of this incident. Within this, there were a number of points which came out. The MyPlay XPlay system, which was part of the new video review process I referred to in my first video, had a number of issues with it. The video reviewer is allocated a specific seat selected for the best visibility in the ground in which to capture clips for review by the doctors. Because of Wi-Fi issues at this seat, the video reviewer had to relocate pitchside in this match. In addition, the group noted that there were additional TV clips of the incident which were unavailable to Northampton's doctors, which had they been available would have resulted in the player being removed from play. Accordingly, the review recommended that the pitchside reviewer and his role be set out more clearly. They should remain in the allocated seat and the Wi-Fi connectivity in the seat should be checked prior to the game. Also, the possibility of introducing an additional support video reviewer was also discussed. Furthermore, the review also recommended ensuring a hardwired live feed should be made available in the medical rooms to ensure doctors had access to all television clips should the Wi-Fi system break down. The report also criticised the doctors for not using the full amount of time allocated for the protocol, which is 13 minutes, and that there needs to be a very good reason not to use the full amount of time available. The report seemed to conclude that while MyPlay XPlay needed tweaking, the doctors themselves did not fail to implement the head injury assessment protocol correctly. So for that reason it was decided there was not a misconduct charge against the club or the doctors. This was in spite of the fact that it also concluded that on balance there were sufficient grounds to suspect the player had concussion. Naturally, this begs the question of whether the protocol is actually effective. Even when you follow it correctly, you don't diagnose likely concussion. Many commentators in this area, including doctors who have been involved in rugby, have agreed and they point out that just because you pass the protocol, it doesn't mean you don't have concussion. On this basis, it may be time to review the whole protocol and whether it's fit for purpose. Furthermore, whilst the report points out there is no evidence or suggestion that the doctors in this instance acted without integrity, would it not be better to have the protocol administered by an independent doctor as opposed to a team doctor? This would avoid any shred of doubt that the doctors could be influenced, even subconsciously, by their employer and make a decision based on anything else apart from the player's welfare. The problem with this area generally is that the medical profession, and by extension rugby, is just getting to grips with how to deal with concussion. There is no fail-safe method for diagnosis, and there's a reliance on the subjective decision making by the doctors. This is illustrated by another recent concussion management review which looked at Sale Sharks player TJ Ione, who despite suffering a head injury was not reviewed under the protocol. The conclusion of the Ione review was that some doctors would have given the test and some wouldn't have given the test. In the North report, it also states that the player appeared to have no residual effects from concussion. Well, from what we know about concussion, the effects often take months or years to materialise. In addition, just because the doctors and the club fulfilled their obligations under the protocol, it doesn't necessarily mean that they didn't breach the duty of care they owe to the players. This means if players such as George North, who has had multiple concussions, have any problems later in life caused by the breach of this duty, then claims for clinical negligence could become more and more prevalent. I also wonder here whether there are double standards in the failure to impose even a suspended sentence on Northampton or their medical team. Would a player be afforded the same leeway if he breached the new tackle law, which, like the system for managing concussion, is also a new regulation in the early stages of development? It'd be interesting to see if this happens again, a similar incident, whether there'll be any full punishment.